Good morning. I've come to collect my watch.
Can I see your ticket?
Yeah. Here it is.
When did you bring the watch in?
Oh, let me see. It was last Thursday.
I'm afraid you haven't finished mending it yet.
Oh dear.
To tell you the truth, we haven't even started mending it yet. This is a terrible shop. I've only been working here 3 weeks. I'm an actress, really. Well, you know, hoping. I'm only working here temporarily.
An actress, eh? Oh, that's interesting.
What do you do?
Me? Oh, I'm a television producer.
A television producer?
Until I was 16, I never used to tell lies. But recently, I think I've been telling rather a lot. It's not right, really, is it? But that's the trouble about getting older. You start telling lies. Still, wasn't a very big lie, was it? After all, one day I probably will be a television producer. So it wasn't really a lie at all. It's more a kind of prediction of the future. Why do all the other people in the office get all the interesting work?
There are more professional football clubs in England than anywhere else in the world. There are 4 divisions in the English league system. Well, a few years ago, Bristol City Football Club was in the 1st division. Now they're in the 4th division.
The biggest problem is finance. I believe 3 or 4 years ago, this club paid £250,000 for a player. And the team that's playing for the city now are all players that have cost no money. They're all what we call free transfers. And that's the biggest difference, that we can't go and buy quality players. We've got to get people that cost nothing and try and get a successful team doing it that way. We've got a lot of young players, and my job is to encourage them and get them to play.
Do you think that you've, in your searches, you found any real talent?
I'm sure I've got a lot of talent. I can see some of these lads probably ending up playing in the 1st division, and I can see some big clubs coming in to buy them probably in 9 months' time. I think it'll take them that long to develop the skills, but we've got some good talent. Yes, certainly.
So what direction, I mean, what are your immediate aims and goals for the group?
Well, we're there already. We're top of the 4th division at the minute. It's a bit early in the season, but if we can stop in the top 4 of the 4th division and get promotion for the club, we've took our crowds from 4,000 last year. We had nearly 11,000 here Tuesday night, which is fabulous. That's bigger crowds than 2nd division teams are getting. At the minute, the club's bubbling. It's been through a bad time.
Yeah.
It's had a big crisis. We think we've sorted the finance out. And we're trying to live within a tight budget and get success, which is difficult. But at the minute, we're on the up, and we've got to keep going that way if possible.
Go! 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 I'll do it, I'll do you.
Here's the vice chairman of the club, Mr. Leslie Q. What does he think?
Well, I think in the past 15 months we've been getting through the problems, but it's 15, 18 months ago that we took over the problems. And these were problems which had occurred, a classic case, really, of a club which had success and then quickly came to failure. And they left behind, to us, long-term contracts, high wages, for a club that had failed and removed themselves from the first division right the way down to the fourth division, and no way could they pay their way. And then we had to take drastic steps. And these were, in fact, to get rid of those long contract players who had very high wages, and that was the point at which this club turned round. It was very unhappy at the time. There's nothing worse than getting rid of players, you know, who had given this club good service. But we had a new board, new people came through, we had a new share issue, we got fresh finance, we set up a consortium whereby we could sort of sort out the debts of the old club, and they have basically been covered now, and fortunately through sort of good management, I think we've been lucky to get a good manager, Terry Cooper, who came here. We've managed to turn the whole thing round, and right at this moment we're sitting right at the top of the fourth division. I know it's the fourth of 4 divisions, but we're going the right way.
So what's the general spirit and atmosphere around the place these days?
Unbelievable at the moment. On Tuesday night of this week, we played the second team in the, rather the top team in the fourth division, beat them, we came number 1. So we're on the way back.
So, where do you see the club a year from now?
Good question. If I had a crystal ball, you know, I could tell you exactly, but where we would like to see the club in a year from now would be climbing the third division. I feel very confident that we're going to make it this year, from the fourth to the third. One would hope that this time next year we're right at the top, sort of creep into the second division. And then, believe you me, the big problems start, because once you're in the second division, you want to go in the first division, and then we've got the circle. The big money comes back into it, then how can we afford these players? And when you get into the first division, you're competing with the Manchester Uniteds and the Liverpools, the big clubs, you know, the established clubs, and it's very difficult. But we're a big city, and there's no reason why we shouldn't go back that way.
The best of luck.
Thank you very much.
That was really interesting.
You think so? I prefer baseball.
Baseball? Never really played baseball. I'd probably be good, though.
That's basketball.
So, I was walking along, minding my own business, when this man came up to me and told me I had beautiful eyes.
So you do?
Men are all the same.
Who'd care to join me for lunch today?
Oh, Prodip, you and your lunches.
No wonder you've been feeling ill lately. You eat too much.
And after I said that, he soon stopped arguing. I just told him, Mr. Stenhouse, I told him that I didn't have time to do a full-time job and look after a husband day and night. Then, of course, he said he was sorry and that he hadn't meant to upset me.
How long have you been married, Mrs. Belmont?
27 years, but it feels like 200.
Oh, it can't be that bad. I don't believe it can be that bad.
That's because you've never been married, Mr. Stenhouse. Anyway, you're a man. Men have never understood what it's like to be a woman.
Well, a friend of mine once told me that getting married was the best thing he'd ever done.
Yes, but then he was probably a man as well.
In those days, of course, I was working in Paris, washing the dishes in a big hotel. The manager was always shouting at me. It was terrible, monsieur, terrible. I hated every minute of the work. Anyway, as I was saying, I was trapped in this great big freezer. It was getting colder and colder in there. I had almost given up hope when I heard a knock, very quiet, just like this. I asked who was there. And do you know who it was? It was...
Yeah, coming, monsieur.
So who knocked on the door?
We may never know.
Hey, look, I bought a new watch.
Oh, digital. Rather vulgar, isn't it?
Vulgar? No.
I used to wear a silver watch. Did you know that?
No, but it's the kind of thing I'd expect. Secretly, you've always been an English aristocrat, haven't you, Prodip? So what happened to it?
I sold it.
What for? To buy food?
No. I bought a gold one.
Now that's vulgar.
You've done it very quickly. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
That's okay.
I was wondering, well, you see, I'd really like it if, I was hoping that you'd...
Are you asking me to go out with you? That'd be great. When?
Tonight. Tonight? This evening?
Sure. I'll just give you my address. You can call round and fetch me. I expect you've got a fantastic car. You can meet my mother. Just wait till I tell her I'm going out with a television producer.
This is Whitstable, a small town on the north coast of Kent, about 100 kilometres from London. Since the harbour was opened in 1832, it has been the real centre of Whitstable. 5 years after the harbour opened, the first steamboat to sail for Australia left from here. Until 1914, Whitstable was famous for its oysters, and despite many difficult changes and adjustments, fishing is still important to the economy of Whitstable.
Life here has changed in the last 50 years, but many of the old fishermen still remember a way of life that has gone.
My first trip away from the beach, I could recollect somewhere about 1920, 25. Going off to a fishing smack where that one is anchored out there now. Rowing off from the beach.
Rowing?
Oh, yes. That was shrimp trawling in a fishing smack called the Violet. Old man Feller Emptage, master. old crew members, yeah. Now, I went permanently with my stepfather, Mark Gambrel, 1928 in the F-12, the Stella, dredging.
Tell me about the catch.
The main catch was oyster fishing and shrimping. Fish trawling, there wasn't a lot, although there was some fish trawling. We used to go with the oyster dredging, row off with the little boat from the beach, get to the fishing smack on the moorings, which would be off here about three-quarters of a mile, and then we'd set the sails and we'd go away to the oyster grounds, which would be from Whitstable Street Buoy there east towards Herne Bay, see, and work off there, dredging, trawling and shrimping. We could not work this area because it's privately owned oyster companies. We used to work approximately about 6 hours, then come back, pick the mooring up, stow the sails away and row the catch ashore. In my particular case then, it was practically all oyster dredging. Sometimes we used to go dredging there, just about 1928, 29. If you've got anything like 100 or 120, that was a good day's work. 19 shillings a hundred we used to get for the biggest. Halfware was a size come up to about 2 years old. We used to get 7 to 600 for them. And the little babies, 1 to 6 months.
What about the taste? Do you think the cultivated oyster tastes different from the oysters you used to catch?
Really, I can't enlighten you on that because I'm not a connoisseur of them.
Really? I hear that the very bad winter of 1963 changed things here.
Well, 63. There were some worse ones than that. 1928, 29. I can recollect one there where the tide went off a terrific distance and it was that severe cold, water froze round us. 1947 was another very heavy freeze-up.
And did they kill the oyster beds?
Well, I don't know what to put it down to. Some say with the disease. Now, they've got trouble now with the oysters, and you can't put that down to weather. It's not like being, they're covered with water. This is my theory. So if the water's over them and they're covered, you can't blame that for coldness. Only where it's very, very shallow ground.
This is the final stage. The best oysters have been selected and are being washed, weighed and graded, and carefully packed. They're now ready to be sent out to restaurants and fishmongers at home and abroad. In spite of wars and weather, the oyster trade is still flourishing in Whitstable.
And this is a temple dancer from Burma.
Borneo, Mother.
Yes, Borneo. My husband travelled all over the world. That was before he died, of course. I expect you've been to Burma, Mr. Barker.
Oh, yes.
Borneo.
Yes, and Borneo.
Your job in television must take you all over the world.
Oh, it certainly does, yes.
That's my husband there.
Oh, I see.
And now this rug, here, he bought in Brazil. They make lovely rugs in Brazil, you know. But of course you've been there, I expect.
Yes. Once or twice.
I haven't travelled much myself. But I watch a lot of television, and that's almost as good, isn't it?
You've been to Spain, Mother, and Italy.
Yes, that's right. Julie and I went to Italy 3 years ago, and we stayed in Vienna.
Venice.
Yes. What a wonderful place. All that water instead of streets. Such a lovely idea. When were you last in Venice, Mr. Barker?
Oh, I was there the other day. Just for a few hours to shoot a film.
Oh, how exciting. Did you meet all the Italian film stars?
Yes, yes. Well, most of them. Not all of them, of course. Some of them had gone on holiday.
How wonderful.
I've got an idea, Billy.
Yes?
Mother and I will just sit here quietly, and you tell us all about your experiences as a film and television producer.
What a good idea. Tell us about all the countries you've visited.
And the stars we've met.
And all the television programmes you've made.
That's right, Billy. Tell us all about the television programmes we've made.
So can I go and have another word with Michael Kelly?
You really think he's got something to tell us?
Yes, I do. He found the body, didn't he?
Are you hoping you'll find another one?
He was going to tell me about the hotel manager.
Only you didn't.
He was frightened. That's why I want to see him again.
Well, he was right about one thing. Matthew Gibbs did stay at other hotels around here.
I can catch him when he finishes his work.
And I can talk to our friend Hutchinson myself.
Right. Oh. I've arranged to meet a member of your staff, Kelly. Michael Kelly.
I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed.
Why?
Because he's no longer employed at this hotel.
Oh, he was employed here this morning.
And he was dismissed this afternoon.
Why?
Because of his behavior. He was rude to the guests at the hotel, and he was rude to me. So I sacked him.
Sacked him? That seems rather sudden.
There didn't seem to be any way of doing it gradually.
Where is he now?
He left immediately. He packed his bags and walked out. Will you excuse me?
I hope this isn't going to take very long.
And so do I, Mr. Hutchinson. Do sit down. Now, do you remember talking to that man?
Yes. Oh, yes. He was in the hotel. Why? What's he done?
It's not what he's done, it's what somebody's done to him.
Oh?
He was shot in his room. Murdered.
Well, I mean, I hardly spoke to him. We were in the bar together. We just exchanged a few words, that's all.
Had you ever seen him before?
No, never. Definitely not.
Can you remember what you talked about?
Well, I asked him if he was going anywhere exciting, and he said, no, not really. What about you? And I said, Paris, because that's where I was going. And I asked him if he'd ever been to Paris, and he said no. And I said he didn't know what he was missing, and he said...
Did you talk about anything else?
No, you see, because just then...
Sorry.
Well?
He wasn't there.
Ah, well. Never mind.
They've sacked him.
Oh?
Yeah,
So where is he now?
that's what I want to know.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Hutchinson.
My fault, sorry.
You were telling us about the conversation you had with Matthew Gibbs.
Yes, well, that was all we talked about, really.
Paris.
Yes. His friend arrived, and so he left me and started talking to him.
His friend?
Yes, his friend, yes.
Was this a man or a woman?
A man.
Did you get his name?
No, I didn't, I'm afraid.
Well, can you describe him to us?
Well, I'm not very good at that sort of thing.
What colour was his hair?
I'm not sure. He had his cap on, you see.
Cap?
Yes, his pilot's cap. He was an airline pilot.
You didn't notice which airline it was, did you, Mr. Hutchinson?
No. The uniforms all looked the same to me.
Was this pilot about mid-30s? Average height? Well-built?
Yes, he was.
You're sure that they were friends? That they weren't just meeting for the first time?
Oh, yes. Old friends by the look of it.
Mr. Hutchinson, you've been very helpful.
I have.
And Lee told us he'd never seen Gibbs before. If he was lying, he must have had some good reason for it.
Well, Lee's supposed to be leaving for Tunis. About now.
Oh, we must stop him. I'll try the airline office, you try flight control.
Right, sir.
Oh, no.
I'll get him when he comes back.
If he comes back.